Kane issued a rousing World Cup battle cry ahead of England's biggest game for a decade and declared his belief that he will score every time he plays. "This is the moment of truth," he told the Mail on Sunday. "Our target is to win the tournament." At stake when England face Colombia in Tuesday's knockout clash is a place in the quarter-finals, and beyond that the possibility of reaching the last four for the first time in 28 years. "My confidence is sky high," said Kane, the bookies' favorite to win the Golden Boot as the top goalscorer in the tournament. So far he has netted 5 times, including a hat-trick against Panama. With England through to the knockout stages after victories in their first 2 matches, manager Gareth Southgate gambled on resting Kane and 7 other players for the final group match against Belgium. It ended with a 1-0 defeat, but left England with an arguably easier route to the final. Share this article. Share now. The England captain is raring to pick up where he left off, saying, "I feel like I'm going to score in every game I play at this World Cup." The 24-year-old added, "As a striker, you are just itching to play when you are scoring. You just want to be on the pitch, and you know a chance will come." But can he escape the curse of ITV? Despite encouraging signs on the pitch, a black cloud will hang over England's hopes of a win against Colombia, the curse of ITV. Since 1998, England have won only 1 out of 11 World Cup matches, 9% shown on it B, which is to broadcast Tuesday night's game. By comparison, 9 of the 13 World Cup matches, 69%, broadcast by the BBC in the past 20 years have resulted in victory. Some fans want the game switched. Adam Whitmore tweeted, "ITV should not be allowed to cover England games. We need to get 100k names on a petition." And Wayne Rooney's dismissal in the quarter-final loss against Portugal in 2006. Thousands more England fans will join the traveling band of supporters already in Russia for the game in Moscow, and the country is again expected to come to a standstill when the game kicks off at 7 p.m. "This is the business end. It's a totally new tournament now. You focus on finding a way to win," said Kane. "The aim for me and the team now is to take it to another level. This is what we train for and work hard for, these big moments." The striker's fiancée Katie Goodland, 25, who is expecting their second child, has remained at home, although his mother Kim, father Patrick and brother Charlie are in Russia to cheer him on. "Our families have been looked after well out here," he said. "Go wild after penalties." England's players have been urged to make sure they celebrate if they score in a penalty shootout and hug anyone who misses to heap pressure on the opponent taking the next kick. The advice comes from Ben Littleton, author of 12 Yards, The Art and Psychology of the Perfect Penalty, who says a scorer must at least raise one hand above his head, and adds, "It's helpful to hug a player who misses as it sends a message of unity to his teammates who might fear a negative reaction." Manager Gareth Southgate, who cut a miserable figure when he missed a penalty against Germany in the semi-finals of Euro '96, has been studying the psychology of shootouts. England have lost 6 out of 7 at major tournaments. That's important. You don't want to be thinking about them. You want to be concentrating on football. Kane said he would love to win the Golden Boot, but lifting the Gold World Cup trophy is the priority. "The target is to win the tournament," he said. "If the golden boot comes along with that, then perfect, but the target is to help the team," he said. "If my goals help the team, brilliant. If not, I'll be running round, working hard, and that's all I can do." Kane is fully aware of the threat posed by Colombia and, in particular, by striker Radamel Falcao. Ironically, Falcao's father wanted him to play for England as he was eligible through his Yorkshire roots. The player's great-grandfather, George King, was born in Selby but moved to Colombia in 1932, where he worked as an accountant. Meanwhile, it is understood that England's Wags have flown back to Britain this weekend, but will return to Moscow for the match against Colombia. Sven warns Southgate. Former England manager Sven-Göran Eriksson disagrees with the popular belief that Gareth Southgate's team have an easy route to the final. He argues that his native Sweden would pose a greater challenge in the quarter-final than Brazil. In the last 30 years, how many times have England beaten Sweden? Not often, twice, he said. It would be easier for England to beat Brazil than to beat Sweden. At last, a team we can cheer for with predicament by David Miller. David Niven once said of his roistering colleague Errol Flynn, "You always know where you are with Errol. He'll always let you down." I'm sorry to say, that has been my view of the England football setup for more than 20 years. I have been a lifelong supporter of Chelsea Football Club and England, but on all too many occasions I felt not pride but embarrassment, and, on occasion, shame. Back in the 1970s, football stood for everything that was bad about our country. Racism, drunkenness, violence. The first black players in England were treated appallingly by many fans. And the atmosphere at big matches was often so toxic, few black or Asian supporters were prepared to risk going. The urine-covered terraces were an unappealing place for women and children who simply never went. In the early 1990s, when I was presenting 606 on 5 Live, I went to a game with my black producer. A lovely man, it shocked me to see him tensed himself as he began to walk through the crowd. I was looking forward to an interesting game. He was anticipating abuse just for the color of his skin. In more recent times, leaden-footed performances on the field have been accompanied by bouts of drunken ill-discipline off the pitch and a surly lack of focus and, in some cases, commitment. Mercifully, things are very different now. Crowds are becoming as multiracial as the teams, and all-seat stadiums have allowed football to become a family experience, not just a beer-sodden afternoon out for men. Women and children have had a civilizing influence on football, which is why I welcome the number of women now engaged in the media for this World Cup. And so to Tuesday, when England will go into the last 16 match against Colombia as the holders, for the first time, of the Under-17 and the Under-20 World Cups. Dare we dream that we might lift the greatest football trophy of all, come what may. I will be cheering them on as a symbol of just how much they have done already to transform the image of the sport I love. And it's all the more astonishing for their youth. It testifies to the strength and numbers of the real talents coming through, which belatedly the FA and the top clubs have now chosen to support with real resources. Today's players possess a set of skills that puts them on a far higher pinnacle than any other England team of recent years. The influx of foreigners into the Premiership has not ruined the career prospects of young English players as some have claimed, including many distinguished ex-professionals. Try telling that to the likes of Dele Alli, Jesse Lingard, Harry Kane and the rest. These young stars have learned a lot from competing with the best from abroad. Meanwhile, the manager has combined the disciplined positioning that is essential to a successful team with encouragement for the flair players to express themselves. Well done, Gareth Southgate, for binding them together so well. And for standing up for decency and respect, and for leading his squad with such calmness and authority. He has been an absolute revelation to me at this tournament. In Harry Kane too, we have a captain worthy of the title. No, this young side probably won't win the tournament, although I hope for even more success over the next fortnight. But whatever the final result, they have already won our hearts and minds. After so many England embarrassments down the years, at long last we have a bunch of lads who look like the best of England rather than the worst. Let the chants ring loud and proud, cry God for Harry in England and St. George.